What if that persistent feeling that something is draining your vitality isn't just tiredness, but an extraction? What if the world isn't a school, but an energetic slaughterhouse? Look at a pasture. You see the cattle grazing calmly under the sun. They believe the meadow is their world, that the farmer is their protector, providing food and shelter. They cannot conceive the reality of the slaughterhouse, nor the ultimate purpose of their existence, to be consumed. They live in the illusion of freedom inside a fence they barely perceive. Now, take a deep breath and allow this question to penetrate your mind's defenses. What if you are the cattle? Welcome to the revelation they never wanted you to discover. Welcome to the invisible farm. How Loosh sustains the Demiurge's matrix. The story they told you about your life, that suffering is a test of character, that pain is necessary for growth, that fear is a natural reaction, is the founding lie of this reality. What the church suppressed, what institutions buried, and what the Nag Hammadi texts have been screaming in silence for 2 millennia is that humanity is not at the top of the food chain. There is something above us, something that does not view us as divine beings, but as harvest. The premise is terrifying, I know, but your soul recognizes the truth when it hears it. The system you live in, this matrix, is not a random construction. It is a machine of intelligent design, fine-tuned for a single purpose, the production of Loosh. This is the dense emotional energy generated by fear, anguish, hatred, and insatiable desire. Just as we milk cattle to obtain milk, the Demiurge, the false god of this world, and his Archons milk humanity to obtain Loosh. They need you to be scared. They need you to be in conflict. They need you to be perpetually anxious about the future or traumatized by the past. Because a human being at peace, a human being who remembers their divine spark and operates on the frequency of unconditional love, is useless to them. Worse, it is poisonous. You are not just a body. You are a quantum energy generator. And now, at this exact moment, the veil is thinning. They are increasing the pressure because they know you are waking up. They know that if you realize your emotional reaction is the currency that funds your own prison, you will turn off the tap. Are you ready to see the bars of the invisible farm? Are you ready to let the Archons starve? The architecture of the false god. To understand how the farm works, you must deconstruct the figure of the farmer. For centuries, organized religion conditioned you to worship an external creator, a being that demands submission, sacrifice, and fear. They told you that fearing God is the beginning of wisdom. But in the context of the invisible farm, how Loosh sustains the Demiurge's matrix, this fear is the harvesting mechanism. Satidailu's night, the Gnostic texts found in Nag Hammadi, buried in the sands of Egypt to escape the purge of the Orthodox Church, tell a different story. They speak of Yaldabaoth, the Demiurge, a blind, arrogant, and insane entity who, disconnected from the true source, the pleroma, created this material world as a distorted copy of divine reality. He screamed into the void, "I am God, and there is no other." Not because he was the only one, but because he was blind to the light that existed above him. And, more importantly, blind to the light that exists inside you. The traditional view tells you that you are a sinner, born with an unpayable debt, and that you must beg for salvation. This narrative of original sin is a psychic implant. By accepting that you are inherently flawed, you generate a constant frequency of shame and unworthiness. That frequency is a delicacy for the Archons. They do not feed on physical food. They are interdimensional parasites that consume the resonance of your vibration. When you kneel in desperation, begging for help from an external entity that judges you, you are sending a direct stream of Loosh into the mouth of the Demiurge. Gnosis, direct inner knowledge, reveals the hidden code. You were not created by the Demiurge. You were imprisoned by him. Your essence, your divine spark, comes from the pleroma, the realm of fullness. You are a fragment of the original light, trapped in a biological suit designed to limit your perception. Religion, in its dogmatic form, is the farm management software. It keeps the flock docile, focused on a future heaven, while being drained in the present. Look at the modern world. Fanaticism, holy war, ideological division. Do you think it is a coincidence? Or do you see now how these structures are designed to maximize the production of violent emotional energy? Every time you blindly defend a dogma that separates us against them, you are working for the farm. You are cultivating the Loosh that sustains the walls of your cell. Pause for a moment. Breathe. Feel if there is any residual guilt inside you, any obligation to suffer in order to be good. Visualize that guilt as a black cable connected to your solar plexus. Now, imagine yourself cutting that cable. You owe nothing to this system. Your divinity does not require sacrifice. It requires remembrance. The Loosh banquet and the technology of distraction. Let's go deeper into the mechanism. What exactly is Loosh? In the invisible farm, Loosh is the currency. It is the bioenergy produced by sentient beings when they are under intense stress. Think of it like an electric current. The Demiurge cannot access the infinite source of energy, so he needs batteries. We are the batteries. The conventional view of society tells you that emotions are just brain chemistry, reactions to the environment. If you get angry at traffic, it's natural. If you get terrified by the news, it's human. But the Gnostic code reveals that the environment was manipulated to provoke these specific reactions. The Matrix is a script designed for drama. The Archons, described in ancient texts as the Ratuto rulers, of this realm, operate in low frequencies. They are like astral ticks. When you feel a sudden wave of despair for no apparent reason, or a burst of disproportionate rage, it is often not your emotion. It is an induction. They are prodding the cattle to stimulate Loosh production. They whisper intrusive thoughts into your mind, making you relive past traumas or fear future catastrophes, just to feed on the emotional response those thoughts generate. Bring this to the 21st century. Look at the device in your hand or in your pocket. Social media and 24-hour news cycles are the most efficient industrial milking machinery ever created. It is no accident that algorithms privilege conflict, outrage, and fear. If it bleeds, it leads, says the journalistic saying. But in the Gnostic perspective, if it bleeds, it feeds. Every time you scroll and feel that tightening in your chest, seeing an injustice, every time you enter a futile argument in the comments, every time you compare your life with someone else's false facade and feel envy or inadequacy, you are generating Loosh. The notification on your screen is Pavlov's bell. The system was designed to keep your nervous system in a chronic state of fight or flight. Why? Because a relaxed, focused nervous system in an alpha or theta wave state is an impenetrable fortress. They need to keep you in high beta, reactive, superficial, and exhausted. Distraction is the key. If you are busy fighting for your economic survival, hating your political neighbor, or fearing the next pandemic, you don't have time to look inside. You don't have time to find the divine spark. The invisible farm depends on your ignorance of your own energetic anatomy. They convinced you that you are powerless, when in fact you are the source of all power. Do this now. Observe your body. Where is the tension? Where is the fear lodged? In your shoulders? In your stomach? That tension is blocked energy, ready to be harvested. Release it. Don't push it down. Simply let it go. Refuse to feed the machine with your anxiety. Say internally, "This energy is mine. I do not consent to being food." The tyranny of time and interpersonal infiltration. But the invisible farm has fences even more subtle than digital screens. There is a torture tool you carry on your wrist or in your pocket, which you call a clock. In Gnosticism, the Demiurge is often associated with Kronos, the god of time who devours his own children. In the invisible farm, linear time is not a measure of duration. It is a mechanism of scarcity. They programmed you to live in constant urgency, the feeling that there isn't enough time, the anxiety over deadlines, the regret over lost time. All of this is high-octane Loosh. When you race against the clock, your energetic field contracts. You stop living in the eternal now, the only place where your divine spark resides, and start living in the mental projection of a catastrophic future. The stress of modern life, the retard rat race, is the factory treadmill. They keep you running so fast that you never have time to look at the chains, and it gets more personal. Have you noticed that, at the exact moment you decide to raise your vibration, meditate, or exit the matrix, someone close to you starts an irrational conflict? This is not bad luck. It is the farm's security system acting through organic agents. Ancient texts warn that Archons can influence the minds of those who are not awake. Your partner, your family member, your colleague, if they operate on autopilot, they can be temporarily worn by these entities to create drama and extract your Loosh. They become portals of distraction. That futile argument that drained your energy for 3 days, it was a scheduled harvest. The system uses those you love to keep you in the frequency of pain. Do not blame them. They are unconscious prisoners used as guards. But you, who see the reality of the invisible farm, must stop reacting to the script's provocations. Interpersonal drama is the easiest harvest they have. Cut the supply, the trap of death and rebirth. We now reach the darkest and most crucial part of the invisible farm. How Loosh sustains the Demiurge's matrix. What happens when the body dies? Religion promises heaven or hell. New Age spirituality promises lessons and evolution. But Gnosis whispers a terrible warning about the wheel of samsara. They told you that Earth is a school, that you return here life after life to learn lessons, to pay off karma, to evolve. But think critically. What kind of school wipes your memory before every exam? How can you learn if you don't remember what you did before? A school where no one graduates is not a school. It is a prison. The cycle of reincarnation is the farm's recycling system. Loosh is not extracted only during life, but also in the process of death. Gnostic texts warn of the Archons guarding the celestial gates. They use the ultimate deception, the false light. That tunnel of white light that so many near-death experiences report? What if it isn't the entrance to heaven, but the mouth of the recycler? At the moment of death, the entity may be approached by beings of light, familiar figures, loved ones. They project a feeling of overwhelming love, a synthetic love, and convince the soul that it still has missions to fulfill, debts to pay, or that it needs to try one more time to get it right. They use your own empathy and your desire to do good against you. It is the final contract. By agreeing to return, you accept once again the forgetfulness, once again the dense body, once again the production of Loosh. Karma, in this context, is not cosmic justice. It is a fraudulent debt invented by the Demiurge's bank to keep you indebted forever. Gnostic sovereignty demands that you reject this debt. You are an eternal spirit. You do not need to evolve through suffering. You are already perfect in your essence. The game was rigged so that you never win, unless you stop playing by their rules. The exit is not toward the external light, but toward the inner light. It is turning inward, to the pleroma that resides in the center of your being, and declaring absolute sovereignty. It is refusing forced reincarnation. It is the realization that your home is not here, nor in the heaven of the Archons, but in the vastness of true freedom, beyond the material matrix. The soul technology, the sovereignty protocol. Now that you see the bars, how do you escape? You cannot flee the farm physically, for you are in the body, but you can become invisible to the captors. You can become inedible. The practical solution in the invisible farm. How Loosh sustains the Demiurge's matrix is a soul technology called strategic indifference, or observer neutrality. The Archons can only see you when you are vibrating on their frequency. Fear, anger, desire, guilt. When you raise your frequency to neutrality, peace, and authentic joy, not manic euphoria, which is also Loosh, but deep serenity, you disappear from their radar. You become transparent. Here is your instruction manual for the daily rebellion. It is not theory. It is combat practice. Step 1. The observer activation. Starting today, you must develop a split in your consciousness. There is the you that experiences the emotion, and there is the you that observes the experience. When fear arises, whether from war news, an unexpected bill, or a personal conflict, stop immediately. Do not react. Freeze the program. Imagine you are a scientist observing a chemical reaction in a test tube. Look at the anger. Feel the heat of it, the speed of the heartbeat. But do not say, "I am angry." Say, "There is anger happening in this body." This small linguistic and mental separation is the blade that cuts the Loosh feeding line. By observing without identifying, the energy is not released to the Demiurge, it circulates back to you. Step 2. The refusal of consent. The system operates under the law of consent. They need you to accept, even subconsciously, the conditions of your imprisonment. You must revoke these contracts every morning, before you get out of bed, and every night before you sleep. Declare your sovereignty. Say aloud, or with the firm voice of the mind, "I revoke all contracts, known and unknown, that allow any entity to drain my energy. I am sovereign. My energy is mine. I deny food to the false god. I am the divine spark incarnate, and I obey no authority other than my own eternal consciousness." Feel the authority in these words. It is not a request, it is a royal decree. Step 3. The shield of gratitude and laughter. Loosh has a specific taste. It is acidic, heavy. The antidote, the poison for the Archons, is the frequency of true gratitude and laughter. Not the laughter of mockery, but the laughter of pure joy, or the cosmic laughter of one who has realized the absurd joke of existence. When you feel the pressure of the matrix trying to crush you, find something, however small, to genuinely be grateful for, or else laugh at the absurdity of the situation. Humor breaks the hypnotic trance of fear. When you laugh in the face of the nightmare loses power over you. Transform the lead of suffering into the gold of consciousness. Become an alchemist in the invisible farm. You have come a long way in these minutes. We started with the disturbing image of cattle and descended into the depths of the cosmic conspiracy of the invisible farm. But we end in a place of indestructible power. They built a perfect prison, made of fears and lies, but they made a fatal mistake. They underestimated the divine spark. They thought they could bury it under layers of trauma and dogma, that they could distract it with shiny screens and manufactured crises. But the spark is eternal. It cannot be destroyed, only forgotten. And you just remembered. The rebellion does not happen in the streets with weapons and shouts. That is just more Loosh for them. The true revolution happens in the silence of your room, in the sacred space between a fearful thought and your decision not to feed it. The revolution happens when you look at the chaos of the world and, instead of panic, you feel an unshakable calm, knowing that it is just a set falling apart. You hold the key to the cell. The key is your attention. The key is your emotion. The key is your sovereignty. Do not wait for a savior. The savior you are looking for is you, waking up from the Demiurge's dream. Now, I ask you directly, awakened soul, will you continue to be food, or will you assume your place as the creator of your own reality? I want you to leave a trace of your rebellion in the comments below. Write, I am not food, I am sovereign. Let this declaration echo like thunder in the matrix. Share this message with those you feel are ready to wake up. Every mind that frees itself weakens the grid for all of us. Subscribe to join the Gnostic resistance. The farm is invisible, but we are no longer blind. The banquet is over. Wake up.